that darkness peering. Long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting.
Dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word, Lenore. This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word Lenore. Merely this, and nothing more.
Fear as I have.
Okay, so the reference doesn't really work if you read the whole stanza, but I'm Brickroad, and this is Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem. This is one of the old good GameCube games. Just from the copyright info, you can see this counts as a retro game now. That's how old I am. GameCube games are retro. Wow. I'm so old. I'm 93 years old. I'll be 93 this year.
Flesh, bone, bound together with the oddest magical incantation.
I am going to go
This
ahead
wretched book is where it all began so long ago.
and watch the
Before
cutscenes
time.
for Eternal Darkness,
Before
because they're
humanity.
wonderful.
I
They're
am
so
Dr.
wonderful,
Edward
and I think
Royce.
you will enjoy them
I am a clinical psychologist.
as much as I enjoyed them
I am
when this
also
game was
dead.
brand new
This is
in
not my
2002. So
story,
I was 20
nor even
years
the
old when this
story of
game
the
came
Roivas
out.
family.
And I
It is
remember
the
playing it.
story
I had
of
known
humanity.
a little bit about the Cthulhu mythos. I had
Like it or
read
not, believe it or not, as you will.
some of Lovecraft's
Your
work,
perceptions
and
will
I
not
had
change
played
reality,
in some
but
tabletop
simply
role-playing
color it.
games about the Cthulhu
Humanity has
mythos.
been on the edge of extinction for 2
Eternal Darkness
millennia.
is kind of
Ignorant of so
a
much, and dependent
XP
on so
of the
few.
Cthulhu mythos. It's the same style
Guardians
of
grow
horror,
restless.
but
Their time
it doesn't
once
literally
again
use
near.
Cthulhu and
Whether
Nyarlathotep
by
and the
fate
color
or
out of
misfortune,
space and
My family has crossed
the
their
fishmen
path.
of Dagon and all
And
that
they
sort of.
didn't
It's a
take kindly
different
to it.
universe, but the same kind of
Their
horror.
attention turns
And
to
I
my
remember
granddaughter,
thinking
for
back
she
in
is
the day
last of my line.
how
last
just
hope for
deep
humanity.
and philosophical the game was. And of course, I was 20 years old. What did I know? Going back to it now, as an actual adult, not a fake adult. When you're 20 years old, you're a fake adult. I'm sorry if this is news to you, but you're not really an adult at 20 years old in the United States of America in similarly advanced first world nations. But yeah, I thought it was really deep and philosophical and incredibly well written at 20 years old. Going back to it now as an old man, what did I say I was? 93? That sounds right. It's still good. I still really enjoy it, but I enjoy it for very different reasons. Because now the fiction to me comes across as very, very campy and very cheesy. But still very enjoyable in a lot of ways. And it begins in the middle of the night when a young woman in a tank top, which was very fashionable in 2002, receives a phone call.
Miss Alexandra Roivas?
And we're about to
yeah,
meet
who's this?
the villain of the
Inspector
game,
LaGrasse of the Rhode Island Police.
Inspector LaGrasse.
Sorry to disturb you, but there's been an accident with your grandfather.
I'll be on the next flight out.
So Inspector LaGrasse is the villain of the game. Just watch his mannerisms in this scene. I think you'll agree with me.
Ah, Miss Roivas, I'm pleased to meet you. I trust you had a pleasant trip?
Somebody right
Yes,
now,
as far
probably
as I'm
already,
considering.
Yes.
has
my
left
condolences. This
a
is
comment
most
below the
unpleasant.
video pointing out that
a
Alex's
shame
last
we
name,
couldn't meet under
Roivas, is the
brighter
word
circumstances.
savior spelled backwards.
Yes, it is.
I want everybody to go
Can you
down
do
and
this
find
one,
that
please?
comment
Of course. This way.
and
But I
just
must
let
warn
them
you,
know how clever and
it's
smart
not a
they are
pleasant
for
sight.
figuring that out first. I want everybody to go ahead and give
I'm
that
afraid
person some
there's
support.
Not much to see.
And this is why Inspector LaGrasse is the villain of the game. No preparation, no, like, here's a photo of the scene. Just straight up,
That your grandfather, Edward.
here's the mess of him. Enjoy.
He's wearing our family ring.
while sipping his coffee just nonchalantly.
I don't
Inspector Legrasse
understand.
is
Why are you
straight
showing
up
me
the villain
this?
of Eternal
Can't
Darkness.
you check dental records or something? What is wrong with you?
I'm sorry. It's my job, lady. You're the only living relative, and no, we can't check dental records. There's no head. No,
We
none of
just
this
lost
makes
it.
sense.
Someone ran
There's no
off with
sign of
it.
intrusion, and there was certainly a lot of force used here. I have never seen anything like this in my 20 years on the force. We have no evidence.
And I was
of
due for
body,
retirement
and
tomorrow.
what's left doesn't say much. Ugh, we don't have a single clue.
Well, you better find out who did this. I am not leaving Rhode Island until you do.
So she lives in Rhode Island
Some
now,
clue in this old mansion revealing what happened.
which in some ways is a fate worse than death.
So do I.
I can say that because Rhode Island's a really tiny state and only 6 people live there, so. 2 weeks later, shocked by her grandfather's mysterious death and frustrated at the incompetence of the local police, Alex vows to uncover the truth. She decides to search the mansion, the place where Edward conducted his research. If there was a tie to his past, and possibly a tie to his murderer, it would be here. So the first thing I'm going to do is go into the menu and go to the options screen and turn up the brightness a little bit, because otherwise the game is super dark. This all looks in order. It says 16:9 widescreen. So the funny thing about the 16:9 widescreen is this is one of the earliest games that I'm aware of that actually uses 16:9 widescreen as a game option, but the GameCube didn't handle it very well. A beautiful carriage clock. The hands appear to be stuck, yet the clock continues to tick, with the time permanently set to 3:33. There's a key in the back of the clock, presumably for winding it. Should Alex look at the key? Yes, we should. Alex picks up the desk clock and pulls the key from it. However, there's something odd about the key. It isn't for winding at all, and it looks like a dresser key. So the GameCube didn't natively support 16:9 widescreen, obviously. So the game kind of does it in a weird way where it still kind of letterboxes everything, especially the cutscenes are in a much smaller window. I'll fix that in post so you guys don't have to look at the weird letterboxing cutscenes. This looming grandfather clock seems to stand ominously in the corner, gazing on this empty room with an almost patriarchal air. Use the control stick to something something. Yeah, let's go ahead and set that to 333. Something something obvious thing. Oh, 33. This side, Brickroad. Whoops. Nope. I must have said like 334. Nope. Get there. Okay, yep. Yes, okay. So there we go. See, it does some weird letterboxing effects to make it a widescreen game. But here's the thing. I'm not playing on my GameCube. I'm playing on my Wii, which doesn't also doesn't innately support widescreen. It says it does, but it's kind of a weird widescreen. It's 480p in HD mode, and it's not really HD. There's so many weird interactions between what is and isn't widescreen and HD between this old GameCube game and the Nintendo Wii and my new computer system and everything that a large leather-bound antique book rests upon the cluttered desk. Should Alex read the book? Yes, Alex should read the book. As far as I can tell, there's no way to actually get GameCube games in general, and this game specifically to be supported in widescreen, in progressive scan mode. The interactions just don't work. It's really bizarre how it all fits together, or more to the point, doesn't fit together.
How the knowledge changed me.
For $300,000, you can buy component cables for your GameCube. They're super duper expensive, and
will come to understand.
Apparently, if you buy those and plug those in and play this game on the GameCube in its progressive scan mode natively through those component cables, it looks alright, but the cutscenes, like this scene here with the book, is still
to see those who dwell behind.
squashed down for some reason, to be in standard display. I don't know. I really don't know the technology in play here.
Flesh and bone.
But I think like the book doesn't display in widescreen because they need it to fade into the actual like sepia tone square, and then from there fade into the... I'm going to fix it in post as best I can, so the whole experience for you guys should be 16:9 widescreen. I don't understand how technology works. We're playing a Roman Centurion all of a sudden.
Quam primum, Centurio Augustus.
And this is one of my favorite things about this game. Sorry, I suddenly needed a drink of water. This is one of my favorite things about this game, is the story is told through the eyes of many, many different characters over many, many different time periods, as all of them have their interaction with these ancient, great, old ones. It was a really refreshing way to tell a story back in 2002. Very few games had really gone this route. We've seen more games kind of do the same thing over the years, but in 2002, this was a very original idea for a game. There's something else I really appreciate about this game, because there's combat, and there's exploration, and there's like puzzling elements to it. Probably not in this video, but later on, you guys will see how the magic runes in this game work, and how they all interact. And a lot of the puzzles are based around your understanding of what these runes mean and how they combine together. And there's also some standard adventure puzzles, some key and lock stuff, as we'll see. Something I didn't appreciate about this game until very, very recently, though, because this game came out, one of its contemporaries was Silent Hill. I'm not sure if Silent Hill 2 was out this early or not. PS2 had only just hit the market about this time. I don't know what the release date is on Silent Hill 2. And I'm not going to look it up because that would be the professional thing to do. I didn't play Silent Hill back in the day. I played Eternal Darkness, was kind of the first game of its ilk that I played. It's not really a ladder leads into the dank heart of the labyrinth. Danger lurks beneath. Yet Pius's courageous resolve does not buckle. Should Pius climb down the ladder? No, his courageous resolve is buckled. Okay, yeah, no, we're going to go down the ladder. I don't know that I would really call this game a survival horror game. It definitely has some survival horror elements. There is a fixed amount of ammo in each level, etc. But you can save anywhere. It's not really about resource management. It doesn't have that element. I love this little move. Yeah! This little spinny sword move like, oh yeah, skeletons, no problem. I can handle skeletons. Let's do it. But I didn't play Silent Hill on the PlayStation 1. In fact, I had never played Silent Hill until very recently. I played Silent Hill 2 on stream. But I remember when this game was out, a lot of people would call it a Silent Hill ripoff, even though it's Cthulhu mythos and not like Japanese style horror. And now these poor headless zombies, now that I've decapitated them, none of them can see. They're just all going to beat on each other. Finish him! Will do. Oh, you have a health meter, by the way, in this game. This is a tutorial letting you know that you have a health meter. But yeah, I remember a lot of people were calling this game a Silent Hill ripoff. I didn't have a good benchmark for what that meant at the time because I didn't play Silent Hill. I didn't know what it was like. I played Silent Hill 2 last year for the first time. And if this game is a Silent Hill ripoff, then I'm going to say that this game does what Silent Hill was meant to do properly. Because the puzzling in Silent Hill 2, oh my god, it was horrible. The puzzles in Silent Hill, I think at one point, you have to run around the level to find a bunch of keys in order to open up this lockbox, and inside the lockbox is like somebody's hair, and you've got to use the hair and attach it to a fish hook so you can fish something out of it. Oh my god. What? Why can't I use my own hair off my own head? What's the problem here? Why do I gotta use some asshole's hair in a... That's the kind of puzzle. That's the kind of adventure game moon logic puzzle in Silent Hill 2. I was not impressed. I don't know if it's fair to say that the puzzles in Eternal Darkness are impressive, but I do think it's fair to say that they're not moon logic. They do have some fantasy logic to them. There's a magic system in this game that you will learn. Is it getting real clicky? Because GameCube controllers are real clicky. I don't know. That's part of it, though. That's part of it for me. I'm playing a GameCube game, using a GameCube controller. It's going to get real clicky. That's just how it is. It's part of the experience. Enjoy the ride, kids. The game does have lots of adventure puzzle trappings. I'm picking up these granite blocks in my inventory now. There's no inventory management. You always have as much inventory space as you need to hold the items you pick up. But you've probably guessed, oh, like I'm picking up granite blocks. Somewhere in this little dungeon there will be a room with little holes in the wall that granite blocks will fit into. And you're absolutely right. That's a key and lock puzzle. This game is full of them. There's really not a whole lot of puzzling to be done. Just use your inventory items in the right spot. That's kind of as deep as this game goes. And superficially, that's what Silent Hill 2 does as well. But this game doesn't have the moon logic. It's not a Monkey Island style. So what kind of, like, how do you combine these items in this completely arbitrary way that makes sense to the developer, but not in the actual real world where ostensibly the game is taking place? Ugh. Instead, this game has a magic system. I think the only other place to go is down. We have a magic system. We're going to be, not in this chapter, but in later chapters in the game, we're going to start collecting magic runes. And a lot of the puzzles involve knowing what to do with the magic runes and which spells to use in which sections of the game. So there is still, it's not real world logic, it's definitely magical logic, but it's magical logic in the sense that there is logic to it. The runes mean things. Combining them in certain ways is meaningful. It's not just combine the guy's hair with the stick of gum with the, like, I don't know. Those kind of puzzles, they work in like a Monkey Island game where it's comedy and like, oh, the stupid puzzles are half the fun, like a Grim Fandango kind of world even. But doing it in what is supposed to be a horror game that builds this atmosphere that's supposed to be scary and creepy, and you have monsters, and you're always supposed to feel like it's you against the world. Like, that atmosphere does not work with the adventure game moon logic trappings. They can kind of work with this style of puzzle, where, oh, the blue wall here, we're going to put this blue granite block in, and it fits perfectly. And we match blue to blue and red to red, and so. And you don't know it in this first chapter in the game, but already you're starting to use these runes. Already you're plugging these runes into places where they are meaningful, for a reason that is meaningful. It's only on subsequent playthroughs that these things really start to make sense. You don't understand the gravitas of what you're doing in this room, or what I'm about to do in the next room, until you start to understand what these runes are. And even the layout of this dungeon is going to be meaningful later in later chapters. For example, we're going to come back to this room later with a new character hundreds of years from now to do something different. But more to the point, we're going to come to this little T-junction, and this room here is going to be blocked off. We're not going to be able to enter it in subsequent chapters. And that's going to be meaningful. Pious! You must prove your worth by destroying this statue. Should Pious destroy the statue? Yeah, let's bust up this statue. And even this little tutorial that's teaching you how to target different sections of monsters is meaningful. The action of destroying that statue is meaningful. These are not things you really have to puzzle through. These are not things that are really going to... you're not going to get stuck on these things. But they help build the world of Eternal Darkness in a way that, yeah, they're just little key and lock puzzles, and later on they're just simple glyph puzzles where you're combining the various magic runes. But they build the universe in cool ways on subsequent playthroughs. And maybe I'm being unfair to Silent Hill, because first of all, I've only played the one Silent Hill game. I don't know if later Silent Hill games do this better, maybe? It's my understanding that Silent Hill 2 is the fan favorite of the series, so I'm assuming not. Finish him! But I'm betting that subsequent playthroughs of Silent Hill 2 You don't get to that use a guy's hair and a fish hook to get something out of a sewer grate puzzle. A button attached to the small pylon softly illuminates the room. A bizarre energy seems to radiate from it. Should Pius push the button? Yes, Pius should push the button. The answer to these questions is always yes. Something tells me that stupid fishhook puzzle in Silent Hill 2, you don't replay the game and get to that puzzle and it's like, oh, I understand more about the game world. I have more context now to understand what the game world is doing, and now this puzzle has extra dimension to it. Something tells me it's still a stupid fishhook puzzle. There are 3 artifacts in this room. Here's the first one. A strange sculpture resembling a red-clawed worm mysteriously floats above the pedestal. Should Pius claim this artifact? No. Shaped like a delicate dome, a pale blue statuette floats gracefully above the pedestal. Should Pius claim this artifact? No. An effigy resembling a warped angel shaped from dark green emerald hovers effortlessly above the pedestal. Should Pius claim this artifact? Brickroad, you said the answer's always yes, and then you said no twice. I said no twice because this is the artifact we want to collect. This is the most fun artifact to collect. It's also the hardest difficulty setting, in as much as this game has difficulty settings, which it doesn't. But there's 2 features of this artifact that make the game more difficult than if you choose one of the other 2. Which is something I didn't realize until subsequent playthroughs. Oh man, Pius. You've seen better days, my brother. Oh goodness. So if you've played Eternal Darkness, you kind of understand what I mean about the game having layers that you understand on subsequent playthroughs. How actions in one chapter have connections to later chapters that the game doesn't clearly spell out for you. They are yours to discover for yourself. If you haven't played the game, if my playthrough of this game is your first exposure to it, all you need to know for now is that I picked the green artifact, and green in this game represents sanity. And now Alex has the Tome of Eternal Darkness. And here on the wall behind us, strangely, with the Tome of Eternal Darkness in her possession, Alex can read the page. It is a chapter page from the tome itself. Should Alex take the chapter page? Yes, the answer is always yes. And we now have the chapter page entitled, The Binding of the Corpse God. But that's going to do it for today, kids. We're going to save the game here. We'll save over my test play. It's gone. Goodbye, test play. I'll see you for some more Eternal Darkness. Shoutouts to Torgo for sponsoring this video, and to everybody who helped make my channel possible by supporting me on Patreon.